The hardest question in enterprise Microsoft is not how to fix it, it is whether to fix it. If you're managing a Microsoft implementation that has stalled and need a clear framework for deciding whether to salvage it or rebuild, this video is for you. Salvage or rebuild is the hardest call in enterprise Microsoft work. It is harder than any technical problem I have encountered because it requires making a judgment about the foundation under an environment that is already running, with people depending on it, budget committed to it, and stakeholders who built their expectations around it. Getting the call wrong in either direction is expensive. Calling it salvageable when it is not means spending 6 months adding remediation costs to a foundation that will not hold. Calling it a rebuild when it is salvageable means consuming resources on a project that was not necessary. I use 3 questions to make this call. They can be answered in under an hour, and they have never failed to tell me which direction the engagement needs to go. First, is the data model correct or corrupted? I look at how shared data elements are defined across the environment, specifically whether content types are scoped correctly, whether managed metadata is centrally governed, and whether the same column name means the same thing in every system that reads it. A corrupted data model is not a configuration problem. Every integration built on top of it is reading inconsistent data and producing inconsistent results. Fixing the data model after integrations are built means rebuilding the integrations. If the data model is corrupt across a significant portion of the environment, the salvage path becomes a rebuild by another name, just a slower and more expensive one. The honest call is a controlled rebuild with a correct data model as the foundation. The diagnostic I run for the data model takes under an hour. I pull a content type report, look for the same logical column defined differently across site collections, check managed metadata for duplicate or inconsistent term sets, and verify that the system of record for each shared data element is documented somewhere. When I find that 3 or more shared data elements have inconsistent definitions across the environment, I call the data model corrupted. Not because each inconsistency is individually catastrophic, but because rebuilding integrations on top of that inconsistency produces integrations that are locally correct and globally unreliable. Second, is the identity model service account based or personal account based? I run a quick inventory of how Power Automate flows are owned. When I find that 50 or 60 flows are tied to 10 or 15 personal licensed user accounts, I know what the automation failure history looks like without asking. Flows fail silently when those accounts change. There is no central record of which flows are affected when a specific person leaves. The governance team does not know the full surface area of the exposure. This is salvageable, but it is a project, not a fix. Every affected flow needs to be inventoried, re-owned under a service account, and revalidated. If the organization has the appetite and the budget for that project, salvage is the path. If it does not, the honest conversation is about what it means to leave the exposure in place. I run the identity model audit using the same Power Platform Admin Center export I use at the start of any governance engagement. Every flow, its owner, the owner account type, and the last run status. The ratio of personal email addresses to service account addresses in the owner column tells me the exposure in 5 minutes. An environment where that ratio is 80-20 personal to service account has a fragility embedded in its operating model that will produce incidents on a schedule tied to employee turnover. The only question is when, not whether. Third, was governance present at kickoff or retrofitted? This is the question that determines whether the environment can be governed at scale. When an environment was built without a named administrator, without environment separation, and without connector policies, and those elements are now being added after 60 or 70 solutions are running, what you are doing is not governance. You are imposing rules on solutions that were designed to work without them. Some of those solutions will break under the new policies. Others will require redesign to comply. The retrofitting project is unpredictable in scope because no one knows in advance which solutions assume they would always have unrestricted access. An environment where governance was present from kickoff can scale. An environment where it is being retrofitted at scale will have a compliant surface area that is never fully closed. The expensive part is finding every solution that was built without the policies and determining which ones break when the policies are applied. In an environment with 300 flows and apps, that assessment is a project. Some solutions need redesign. Some need exceptions documented and approved. Some need to be retired because they were built for a use case that no longer exists and no one noticed. None of that work was in anyone's budget estimate. Corrupted data model, personal account identity model, retrofitted governance. If all three are present, I recommend a controlled rebuild. Not because the existing solutions have no value, many of them may be worth preserving, but because the foundation they are sitting on will not support what the organization needs the environment to do at scale. If only one or two are present, salvage is the path. But the remediation scope needs to be priced honestly before that decision is made. The call is not technical. It is a judgment about what the organization is being asked to build on top of what already exists. That judgment is worth making clearly, with the evidence in front of the right people, before more is built on a foundation that may not hold. The assessment I run takes under an hour and produces a recommendation with the evidence behind it. The recommendation is not always salvage or rebuild in pure form. Sometimes it is salvage with a defined remediation project running alongside delivery to address the one or two compromised dimensions. The important thing is that the recommendation is made explicitly, with shared understanding of the trade-offs before the next phase of delivery starts. In the next video, we will address what scope separates senior platform engineering from standard Microsoft implementation, and why that line matters more in regulated environments than anywhere else.